Hello, folks. This is Bob Dodrill, application engineer with Hilco Incorporated. And if you've been following these short videos, we've done a few things now. We've imported some libraries that are built into Codesys or some function blocks. But I want to throw another feature at you that's pretty handy. So if I want to create my own function block, I want to create my own function that I can reuse in my program. So I'm going to go to application. I'm going to right click. I'm going to add an object. And in this case, I want to add a POU or programming organizational unit into my program. In my case, I want to give it a name, and let's just call it IO-link function. That'll be good. And I want to make that a function block. And again, I like to program in ladder, so I'm going to create a ladder diagram. And I'm going to add that to my list. Now, I have an option here from my main program. Anything that I create over here, I can use it in my program by simply adding an empty box, doing the lookup, and I can go into my application, and here is my function block that I just created here in my program, just like I was just like any other function block. The other option is that I could have it, well, that's what I want to do with a function block. Now, if I go back to my application and right click and add an object and add a POU, I can create now a program, and we'll just call it P2 for program 2. And again, it's in ladder diagram. And I can add that. And if I want program number 2 to run at the same time as my regular PLC program, notice under my main task, here's my PLC program. If I simply click on that and drag and drop it under my main program, under my main task, it remains here, but it runs continuously. It runs the whole time that I have my operation in. Now, let's go back to our function block, and we want to create something. So I happen to know that if you're going to use a IO-link device, let's say it's a Banner Q4X, one of the first things that you want to do in your device is that you want to do a bit shift. So we're going to do an SHR, which is a shift right. We're going to bring in our IO-link data. And now I want to name this a var input. And you'll see why in just a moment. Okay. And it says, do you want to save this as a var? And in my global var list, I'm going to say, yes, I do. And I want to shift that 3 places. And again, if you're using a Q4X, then you bring in your process data, you shift it 3 places, and then this gives you your Q4X data. Now, I want to leave this inside my function block, so I'm just going to leave it as a var and say OK. And now I want to do something else with this. I want to insert another box with output energize, and I want to turn that into a real rather than into an int. So I can simply now, I've got the option, I can look up conversion factors, or I can say int underscore 2 underscore real. So I can type that in and I can create my function block now. So I can copy, paste this in, and then now I've got a real. So I got to give that another name. So we'll just call it Q4X underscore R for real. Now, I want to do one more thing with that. I want to get a decimal place in there. And I know that a banner Q4X gives me 1/10 of a millimeter resolution. So I want to add a decimal place. So now I'm going to add one more function block. And I'm going to make it a div for divide. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it in, and I'm going to paste it. And I want to divide that by 100.00. And now I need an output. So my output for my device or my output for my block now, and I should have a measurement value now. So we'll call it measure underscore val. Now, when this pops up, I want this outside of my box. So I want this to be a var output. And I'm going to say, okay. And again, I'm going to declare it in my var output window. I'm going to say, okay. And now I've created a function block. So I'm going to go out of that, back to my main rung of my PLC. I'm going to insert another rung below. I'm going to add an empty box. But this time I'm going to add my Q4X block, or my IO link function block that I created. Now, notice what's different. Now I have my var input and my var output, and I can continue to reuse this as many times as I want to throughout my program, and I can continue to add Q4X data or whatever. So again, that is creating your own function block for use within Codesys, as well as some of the more advanced features of Codesys. And again, I thank you for your time. I'm glad that you're trying to learn Codesys, and you have a great day.